What's going on? Happy terrific Tuesday to everybody that's tuned in today. My name is Craig Saunders. You know me, I'm half a brother, my brother. Just want to take this opportunity to welcome everybody to what can only be considered as one of the most pleasant experiences you're about to have this week. And the experience begins right now.
Tell your body how to move and feel. It can serve as meditation, so no need to pop a pill. Satisfies your heart's desires and allows your mind to heal through the therapy. Music, tell your body how to move and how to feel. It can serve as meditation, so no need to pop a pill. Satisfies your heart's desires and allows your mind to heal through the therapy.
What's going on, man? You muted, man. You muted. I can't hear you.
See? There we go. There we go.
Now we can be bad.
Man,
Now-
everything well?
I can't complain, man. I mean, I could. There's always something that tries to trip you up during the course of the day, during the course of the week, but I ain't gonna complain. I ain't gonna give it a whole lot of energy, man.
You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, man. It's a conscious decision every day.
Every day.
Every day, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm making the choice to be grateful. I'm making the choice to be appreciative. I'm making the choice to be positive, as opposed I'm being the conductor as opposed to being the passenger.
Brother, listen. I'd rather be the driver any day.
You don't know? Listen, because I know how I drive. The way this world works, I don't know, man. They might have got their driver's license from Pep Boys or something. I don't know.
Man, listen, from my ice cream truck.
Right.
Like, yo, Mr. Softy, I have 2 cones and a
Right.
driver's license.
Please.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, man.
But yeah, man. So here we are, back again on this magnificent platform that we've been afforded the opportunity to partake in, and get something out, man. Get something that's actually very well needed, or very much needed, in general, not just in our communities, but in general, man. Which is honest and earnest conversation about real stuff, not just the cutesy stuff, not just the little, oh, hey, I want to, I'm going for the ratings kind of stuff.
Right, man. Listen, I think it's very imperative that we really deal with what's happening with us as people in the world, and how we're dealing with coping mechanisms and how we're handling this whole new paradigm. This is a whole new paradigm shift that we're in. It's a whole new world just from last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they're not making the transition as easy as some. A lot of people are having trouble navigating all of this, and this is just the tip of the iceberg so far.
Right. How about that? Because we haven't really settled anywhere, right? There's been no consistency in pretty much anything.
Right.
And that's part of what's been making this shift so difficult, right? The lack of any consistency, the lack of, anytime you're in a crisis of any type, right? You need to have that voice, that comforting voice, or that confident voice that harkens to you, that you can say, okay, I'm going to follow this. right? And we don't have that. What we have is a bunch of noise, a bunch of chatter.
Yeah, man.
You know, and I think that's what's making this thing so much more divisive, so much more frightening than it ever needed to be. Come on, man.
You know, it's unfortunate, you know, that I do agree that, you know, with your statement, and I want to deal with that word frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was listening to the radio the other day, and they had a woman acting like she was dying of COVID, leaving and talking to her family in these final phrases, you know. Oh, I wish I would have just did and if I would have, you gotta go take the shot. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is psychological warfare.
Yeah.
Because you're playing it over and over and over and over and over again. And you play it so much that what people don't realize is that this type of psychological warfare is literally called brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
You play something over and over in repetition so much that it would literally drive the prevailing thought of safety out of someone's mind and replace it with fear.
Mm-hmm.
And fear breaks down the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
I look and I go, if we would just take a little time and be careful what we let in our ear gate. That's number one. You can't allow yourself to be listening to everything right now.
Right.
Because right now, everybody's taking sides based on the politics, and nobody's taking a side based on the humanity. We have to take sides based on our humanity. How are my actions affecting those around me? How is it making you better? Is it healing you? Is it breaking you down? You know, because at the end of the day, we ain't got no other planet to fly to. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no place else for us to go. Not us that don't have the resources and the money.
Exactly.
So we're in a time now where the government that we should be looking to for guidance is the same government that's breaking us down in different and various ways, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and even physically.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, painting that picture, it almost seems like a hopeless deal, you know, but it isn't. It isn't.
Well, here's what I like to chime in about that, because I agree with you wholeheartedly about the message that's coming from the government. And sadly, you know, everybody thought that in 2020 with the new regime was going to be a new message and a new realm of hope. And we're seeing it's basically still politics at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But here's what I fixed my thoughts on. You know, I actually had to look up the word paradigm. And I did that specifically because you know how there's a lot of words that we use and we hear those phrases coined, and we know what the phrases mean, but we don't always understand what every word in that phrase means, right? So I had to really look up what paradigm was, and it kind of led me down. You know, you start looking up stuff and it kind of leads you down that educational rabbit hole, right? It was like, oh, wait,
yes,
what is this? Wait, what is this, right?
Yeah.
But basically, the long and short of paradigm is basically just something that we've become accustomed to doing, something that has been the example, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the brief synopsis of what a paradigm is, as I understand it. And when I think about what we've been through since 2016, we moved from a government that was run by politicians to a government that was in appearance, I'm going to say in appearance, run by a business person, to a government that became more concerned with its imagery and its individual policies as opposed to the benefit of its constituents, to now a government that's trying so hard to separate itself from what it deemed as a horrible previous administration, that it's moving toward its own agenda and its policies. And unfortunately, in all of those things that are happening, those of us who are impacted are feeling the pressure of it, right?
Right.
That being said, we're still here. That being said, despite all of this that has transpired, we are still here. We've survived the bickering. We survived, the majority of us have survived the pandemic. And I don't want to make light of that because there are a lot of people that didn't for whatever reason. And we're surviving the transition from one administration to another.
Yeah.
I cast my focus on that because that's where my hope lies. My hope lies in the fact that I realize that we have survived things that we never expected to even have to endure. And if we can, so it doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it matters less who is running the government as far as my ability to survive what kind of things they're going to put in place. That's just a 10,000 foot view of it. Now, we can go back and forth and talk about laws and policies and things like that, because yes, we do understand that administrations will enact and create laws that do impact us, and they impact us for generations to come. But understanding that we're in a space right now where we didn't even think we have to endure some of this stuff, and we're still here, that's where I draw my hope from.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes great sense. Makes great sense. When you begin to get an understanding of just how durable and how resilient
yes
we are as a people,
yes,
you automatically draw strength from that, because you have a working knowledge of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And part of who we are, part of our makeup is our resiliency. Part of our makeup is our durability. It's in our DNA. We had to deal with slavery. So within our DNA is the ability to survive all conditions.
Hey.
So even with them doing all of this, they don't even realize that people of color have been prepared for this for a long time because of the atrocities
mm-hmm.
that were enacted on us years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And epigenetically, they were passed down within our DNA and through our genes to us from our forefathers on how to survive, on how to make it through. So, yes, that is one way that we draw strength in knowing just how durable we are, how resilient we are, how unconquerable we are. We have an unconquered spirit.
I like that word. I like that word.
Yes,
I like
sir.
that word. And here's what I love. The things that systemically this society wants to have us relegated to, those lower level opportunities, the lesser of, right? Just the lesser of in general.
Yeah.
And that has gone from everything from food to education to finances to opportunities, you name it, it's always been the lesser of.
Yeah.
Ironically, those are the same things that allow us to, that number one, have trained us on how to survive and allow us to reset if something should collapse. And do it in a way where there's no generational extinction, right?
Uh-huh.
I've had to reinvent myself 3 times. I've had to
Right.
start from scratch 3 times just in my lifetime, right? My mother had to do it a couple of times in her lifetime. That's kind of, and when you talk to people that look like us, when you talk to people that have shared experiences like us, and you act like you want to get upset, you act like you want to start, playing a victim, they'd be like, man, if you don't get yourself together and get your mind right and do what you need to do, that's a product of what was meant to destroy us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
It always reminds me of this story about Mordecai and Haman in the Bible, right? Like the gallows
Yes,
that you built
right.
have become the tools of your demise.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And people don't realize, they don't understand that, while you're digging that hole for me, you got to watch out for the other people that are around that might want to push you in that same hole that you dug for me.
Right.
In life, there is reciprocity.
Mm.
In life, there is sowing and reaping. In life, there is karma. And as the old people used to say, what goes around comes around. And you just don't know the timing of your around.
Right.
So you have to be careful with the plans that you have in your heart towards me, to harm me, to do me ill, to do me evil, because those plans will quickly shift on you. Quickly, because I'm divinely covered. I'm divinely guided. I am divinely protected. And because of that, when you come against me, you're not just coming against me, but I have a whole host of angels and ancestors with me. And not only do I have that, but I have the divine, I have God himself with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we both know that if God be for us,
who can be against
who
us?
can be against us? I don't care if it's a person. I don't care if it's a gang. I don't care if it's a government. I don't care if it's a kingdom. Nothing can stand against me when I got the divine backing me.
Right? For we battle not against flesh and blood, right?
Man, listen. If people really understood that scripture, man, listen, we battle not against flesh and blood, but we battle against principalities in high places.
Right.
And when I look at that word principalities, people in church, we talking about, spirits, demons, devils, witches, warlocks.
Not always.
Nah. Principles. Life is guided by principles.
Yes.
And when you have the wrong principle in high places, in high seats of government, those wrong principles begin to govern a nation in a wrong way.
Amen. See?
So now we have to pull down those high positioned principles that work us no good. We have to pull them down. We have to unseat them and replace them with principles that work for us, principles that serve us.
And I love the fact that here's evidence of it, because there have been so many civilizations that have been toppled because that gap continued to do this.
Yeah.
As the elite become more elite, become ultra elite, become uber elite, and the have-nots become so poor that they can barely pay attention.
Yeah,
At some
man.
point, somebody says enough is enough, and I'm coming to get what you got. Or
Right.
no longer will I abide by or conform to these principles as you set into practice. A shift is about to occur.
Yeah. 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 And it'll appear at first it will appear like total confusion.
Mhm.
It'll appear like total anarchy. It'll appear like the worst of the worst is happening. But
Mhm.
what we don't understand is that the greatest pain that most times we will ever feel is the pain of healing.
Yes, absolutely.
When we are healing, it's not an easy process. It's not a feel good process unless you got some good morphine and some drugs behind it, you know. But usually it's a process where you have to endure pain and you have to work out with the pain so that you can heal right.
Here's what I love about that. I love that analogy because I love the fact that people oftentimes look at, let's say you did receive a scar. They look at the scar and they see the scab. And they immediately begin to think, oh, that's healed. It's not healed. It's still healing. So while there is a level of protection that has formed over it, while you may have begun to, if it's an emotional scar, while you may have begun to be able to get back to what seems normal, there's still things that can put enough pressure on you that wound feels the impact again, just as it was brand new.
Most definitely.
And people don't realize that. People are so. I love how I'm not even going to call them healed people because they're not really healed. But I love how people who have not sustained the injury love to tell you how quickly your injury should take to heal.
Yeah, those be the people that have a zeal not according to knowledge.
Yeah. there's also be the people that might catch these hands if they push the wrong way.
You right about it. You right about it. You right about it. We got to, because you got to know that just because you don't see the symptoms of my pain, doesn't mean that I'm not in pain.
Exactly.
It means the scab means that I'm covered. It doesn't mean that I'm healed. It just means that I'm covered.
Covered while you continue to heal.
Exactly. And if you pick at my covering to expose the wound, I'll lash out at you. That might mean that I got to put my hands on you.
Here's what I need to say about that. You can't exacerbate a situation and then expect there not to be some kind of repercussion. You can't poke the bear and then act like the bear's not supposed to swat you. Hey, Rita, what's going on? We see you. Thank you for that comment, girl. You just can't do it. I used to always use the analogy, right? There was a time in my life where I weighed like 222, 225 pounds, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh man, I weigh as much as Mike Tyson, man. But here's what I knew. One thing I knew is that I better not walk up to him and punch him in the mouth, because it might result in a retaliation that I was not prepared to withstand, right? You can't poke at somebody who's healing. You can't continue to put pressure or walk them through the things that you think, or put them on the progress plan that you think they should be on, and then wonder why they snapped out on you when you're adding that pressure. If you didn't come from the same backgrounds, if you don't have the same biological makeup, if you don't have the same physiological or educational makeup, you don't know the kind of pressure, you don't know the things that folks going through a simple situation may be enduring. Your perspective is relegated by your experiences, your soul experiences. And that does not qualify you to tell me how I should or should not process through something.
Right.
All you have to do, the greatest thing that you can do, is respect that I'm going through something and accept the rate at which I'm going through it.
I agree with you.
That'll save you some things.
I agree with you 100%. And I think on the flip side, people also must understand this. You do not keep bringing yourself into environments and places and around people that you know will do that to you.
Hey.
When you're really healing, it means that you're resting as well.
Yes.
It means sometimes you have to steal away from the crowds. Sometimes you have to steal away from obnoxious people. Even staying away from certain TV programs or certain platforms so that you don't get triggered.
Yes.
And here we are today. We replay injustices, and we replay pains, and we replay the heartbreaks and disappointments. And all you do is you create a time loop that keeps you trapped in that same experience, but it'll be with a different face.
Mm-hmm.
The same experience, just with a different place. The same experience, because you have not let it go, first in your memory, and secondly in your surroundings.
Mm.
You have to be responsible. Will Smith said something. He said that he understands people who have been hurt, but it is your responsibility to heal.
Yeah, it is.
You may have been hurt by others, and it's not their responsibility to heal you. It's yours. And in order for you to heal, you have to make sure that you surround yourself with the right tools, the right people. The internet can be a great tool, or it can be a great evil. Which one will you use it as?
Let's put a pin in it right there, because we got to make sure we take our first break, get these bills paid. But I like where you stop right there. So, family, listen, we're gonna take a quick break, play you a couple of messages, get this money in, and make sure the platform keeps going. And we will see you on the other side. Stay with us.
And now, a word from our proud sponsors. Cosmos Radio Network of the UK, proud sponsors for the Tri-City Finest, King of the Oldies, Ali Hackett, and the Princess Lovely. The international radio station that playing music that's out of this world.
I feel like busting loose. I said, Shala, come on, y'all said. I said, Shala, get it, y'all said. I said, Shala, come on, y'all said. I said, Shala, get it, y'all said. Give me the big time.
How do you cross the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean without a boat? You do it right here with a moment, a jazzy moment with Lovely on Cosmos Radio Network.
All right, folks, and we're back. I think we stopped when you were making a point that, or you sharing something that Will Smith has shared, and you were talking about responsibility, right?
Yeah.
He said something else, right, with regards to responsibility, and I thought that was a very profound thing, and it made a lot of good daggone sense. And he used the example of, he talked about fault versus responsibility, right? And he talked about, he said there may be somebody that leaves a baby on your doorstep, and it wasn't your fault that the baby wound there, but it now is your responsibility to make sure that child gets some kind of care.
Right.
And we have shifted. There's been like this persistent shift, man, from any kind of accountability or responsibility from, I don't know, it's been going on seemingly for like decades. It could have been going on longer than that, but it just seemingly for decades where everybody's like, listen, this is my world. I'm only responsible for the things that are in it. Anything that falls outside the parameters of that world that I have defined, I'm not responsible for. It's none of my business. And I watch it happen every day. And you know, people that I pass on the street, I watch it every day on social media. I just watch this continued separatism. And it's almost like, well, I can't build it with the community. I'm going to build all these things up in my own little world and make myself the emperor and the king of my world. And I reign and rule, and I say what's right or wrong. And anybody that doesn't agree with me, they're wrong. And how do you get to a place where, I bring that up to say, how do you get to a place where people are willing to look at overall responsibility as opposed to ownership of an issue or ownership of a problem?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's about perspective. When we have the proper perspective, we understand that when I do take ownership, it automatically makes me responsible as a co-creator of the society that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
We are not creators unto ourselves. We are all co-creators.
Mm.
So we have to know that the way that I govern my life, if I govern it responsibly, automatically the first thing that comes out of that is that I become an example to someone else. It may not even be anyone that you know. It could be someone who's just watching you from afar, but you become that example, and your life will have impact. And when you're doing that, you're leaving seeds for other people. You're leaving something for other people to model after, to pattern after, until they get their own bearings, and then they can do the same. They can model how they did it for someone else, and then pay it forward. You know, it does not do us any good to say, I'm going to look out for me and mine. Because at the end of the day, if I'm only looking out for me and mine, then I've already made an enemy of everybody else.
Ooh, come on now. Come on.
So we have to be careful. I don't need enemies. What I need are friends. And even the sacred text says that to have friends, you must first show yourself friendly.
Right?
You know, if we understand the wisdom in these everyday sayings and really apply them, listen, there's no system. There is no system of oligarchy or corporation. There is nothing that can overtake you. No governmental force, no systemic racism. None of that can handle you when you're operating out of the wisdom that's already all around us. You have to operate from a wise place, from a wise position. My wise position says that, number one, I'm going to make sure I treat my neighbor as myself. Automatically. It doesn't mean that I have to go out and do these huge, wondrous things for them. No. Simple little things like speaking. Hey, good morning.
Or here's the part that I like. And I'm glad you said that, and I apologize for cutting you off, but here's the part that I like about that. The simple things, yes, I agree with 100%. But what I take from that is considering people as you consider yourself, meaning if something were to happen, if you were to encounter your neighbor, right? And that person is not in the best mood, that person doesn't respond the way you think they should or wanted them to respond, how are you going to respond? Flip that dynamic and say, what happens if you come out your house, you having a bad day? Let's say you found out your wife was cheating. Let's say you found out your kid was in the hospital. Let's say you got some bad news. Somebody speaks to you, you're not in the mood to speak. In your mind, you rightly have you have the right not to speak in your mind.
Right.
But you don't understand the impact that's going to have on that other person, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That one incident, that one encounter has the possibility to paint you in a light that you would not, that to paint you in a light that would be really unfair, because number one, they don't know what's prompting this action. And number two, they're not giving you any consideration as to how they would want to be considered in that situation themselves. If you took the time to really say, all right, that person didn't speak, I wonder what I could have done differently to help. I wonder what I could have done that might have made their day a little better. Or even if there's nothing you could have done, you can say, I hope me saying hello hits them later on, and they realize that even in the midst of whatever he was going through, somebody took the opportunity to acknowledge them, right? If we took that mindset, eventually, there we come to a place of understanding, like, okay, I don't have to get this immediate response. If I say, what's up? If I say, hey, what's up, man? What's going on, man? You be like, I don't have to go back and be like, yo, why give me the, that's my man. Like, I do something wrong to him. I don't have to play back these things in my head. I don't have to begin the process of overthinking to figure out what's wrong. I can just say, hey, man, I'm not sure what's going on, but hope all is well. Let me know if you need something. And move on with my day. And give you the opportunity, if you so choose to, or when you so choose to come back and we can break bread over it. But that one incident in and of itself shouldn't be the thing that now puts me in a place where I go, I ain't messing with this dude no more. He got a problem. He got an attitude. The way he did stuff didn't match what I think should happen in my world.
You know, we live in a world where we have become overly sensitive.
Please.
And we're overly sensitive in the wrong areas. Because real sensitivity would say, hey, I wonder if he's okay.
Exactly.
Self-serving sensitivity says, F that nigga.
Exactly.
And until we learn, we have to learn to reprogram ourselves. We have to let go of the old programming, because we have, from the cradle to the grave, we are constantly being layered with other people's narratives, other people's thoughts, other people's concerns, other people's visions for our own lives, and in turn, we feel like our voices aren't heard. So now we become this extra sensitive person when we get older, and don't why you say that to me? And we don't even know how to control our emotions, because we have so much pent up in us, because we haven't been heard. And you're literally having an inner riot. You're having an inner protest that one day will explode out on someone. And so what you have to do, you have to begin to reprogram yourself from all of that programming. And the way, and every day you have to say some affirmations that'll put you on the right track, that'll frame your day for you. Every day. Some of the things that I say to myself every day is, everybody loves me. I have no enemies.
I love that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know,
and that affirmation right there, like Rita made a comment. I don't know if you saw the comment. She said we must become thick-skinned and stop responding based on self, right?
Right.
That word self is a powerful thing in that, because I think we are all going to be in agreement on where I'm about to go with this. And you mentioning that you have affirmations, like daily affirmations, right? is a wonderful thing, because what you're doing in that is developing, is growing, is expanding yourself, right?
Uh-huh.
When people respond to us in ways that are selfish, when people respond to us in ways like, they get offended, what it's really showing is what it's showing is their deficiencies. What it's showing is their lack. Either their lack of understanding, their lack of compassion, their lack of something is what it's showing. And then they're responding to what they perceive as an injustice based on their lack. If you had more compassion, if you had more understanding, you would realize that my response has nothing to do with you. My response has everything to do with me. But because you've become so sensitive, because you keep ripping your own scab off your wound every time somebody says something to you, anytime somebody says something to you, it's an immediate retaliation.
Right. I think what we miss a lot of times is that the world only reflects back to you. If you see someone with an attitude, ask yourself, where within me am I off? There's something off. What's happening that this is being reflected back to me?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you tend to fix or readjust yourself much more quickly than you would if you just keep blaming everybody else. Because what people really have to understand is that we give off a frequency. We give off an aura that either attracts or repels. So it's like, if people are being repelled, you have to ask yourself, what's going on within me?
Right.
Let me check me. Let me make sure I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can even ask the people around, hey, tell me, what is it that you see? What am I doing something wrong? And if they're honest, they'll give you honest feedback.
Right.
So we have to know that, again, the world will only reflect back to you what you are. That's just the way it works. It's physics. If you align yourself with a certain frequency, you get everything that comes along with that frequency. It's just physics.
One of the things I learned about not too long ago was something in our brains called the reticular activating system.
Uh-huh.
And basically, in short, it's, the way I understand it, is basically like a firewall for your brain. We're inundated with so much information on a daily basis that you get to set the rules of what your brain takes in. And if you're taking in crap, it's because those are the rules that you set up. If you're doing, like you said, you're giving yourself affirmations, you're taking in love and positivity, those are the things that you're going to see.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing, but the more amazing thing about it is, once you understand what's going on, now you can affect change.
Most definitely.
You can say, oh, is that what it is? That's all I got to do? Let me start by saying, damn, I look good today.
Right.
Let me start by saying that. And anybody don't think so, that's okay. It's not going to change how I feel about me. Right. Little things, man.
It really is the little things. It's the little foxes that spoil the vine. And if we make sure to put daily care on ourselves.
Daily care. Love that term.
We will attract like minds. And even those who don't have like minds, they'll come in a certain reverence of the space that you have set up. Hey, yo, I know my attitude is off. I know I kind of barked at you earlier. I just wanted to apologize. Like, maybe you can tell me how you dealing with all of this. Because sometimes people are lashing out because they don't trust nothing around them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
In this day and in this specific point of time, it's hard to trust anything and anyone, because the prevailing thought now that's taking place within our society is divide and conquer.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, there is nothing new to the elite's playbook. There is nothing new to what Christians may call the devil's playbook. There's nothing new to it. At the end of the day, you have to start mapping out the pattern of that playbook, and you have to disarm. I remember growing up in church. Bishop Brown used to say to Bishop Roy E. Brown used to say to us, and as children, we caught this as children. He used to say, "Tell on yourself so that you disarm anyone else from telling on you."
Right.
And we're at a place now where we have to learn how to disarm those harmful things that mean us no good. Well, I heard that, you slept with such and such. Yeah, I did. But did you hear that I've already told everybody?
Right.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that I already made my amends and I already apologized to whoever?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that, I'm a grown man who may be single, and this is what grown people do?
not to laugh. You didn't give a smile, did you?
Oh yeah, man. Listen, man. Because my thing is, sometimes, especially when you're coming from a Christian point of view, people want to dictate the narrative of your life. They want to have the pen in their hand to write the story of your life. Brother. And I'm like, this is my life. This is my life. You don't get to dictate where I put my penis. You don't get to dictate where I put my mouth. You don't get to dictate. This is my journey. Let me do my journey and you mind yours.
You said something right there. And you said they want to pick up the pen and write. Who has the authority to write your beginning and your end? Not somebody sitting next to me in the pew. That's for damn sure. Right? So the fact that there's even a pen in your hand tells me that you came with the wrong ideas. You came with the wrong tools. You came not understanding that we are in this together. And the way that we get our names written in this book is not by writing it in ourselves. This is not a write-in ballot. There are things that we need to do to have our names written in that book.
You know what? Let me even say this.
Okay.
There's nothing we have to do to get our names written in that book.
Okay.
Because before the foundation of the world, Christ died.
True.
Before he knew you and I, before we knew each other, before you knew yourself, the plan, it was already a finished work.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm at the point now where, and this is where I'm trying to, now I'm speaking as a pastor and not just regular.
Come on.
There comes a point in time where you have to recognize that just because you don't have the balls to discipline your own life, don't give you the right to manipulate minds.
Mm. Can't set the rules on mine if you can't follow the rules of your own, right?
You can't. And all that to say, we're living in a time where everybody is trying to control everybody, and everybody ends up out of control.
Mm-hmm.
We must now learn. If you want to learn how to overcome in this shift, it starts with you. It starts with you controlling your emotions, controlling what you intake through your ear gate, your eye gate, your mouth, what you say, how you treat people. You have to control you. Become the best version of you, because the minute you change you, everything around you has to adjust to that change that
Right.
you made.
Right. Right.
Everything.
Right.
So, with that being said, that is the power that worketh in us.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to learn, everybody doesn't grow at the same speed. Everybody doesn't grow at the same pace. Everybody doesn't mature at the same pace. And that is okay. Let people grow at the pace that they are comfortable with. And sometimes life itself will make you uncomfortable to push you into another gear of growth. But you can't be the one to do it.
Right.
And when you do that, you'll begin to see, even though we're growing at different intervals and different levels and different stages, we're still all growing together.
Exactly. We're still growing. So let me jump in real quick because we're about to take another break. But before we take that break, I want to say this. In this broadcast just a few minutes ago, you corrected me on something. And I appreciate you for correcting me on that, because I said I was talking about how we get our names written in the book, and you said it was already done. You corrected me on that. So let me thank you first and foremost for doing that, because getting on the same page and making sure that I understand things as I need to, especially for coming from a pastor, I salute and applaud you for that. But secondly, I want to make sure that we point that out as an example of how two brothers can really have a difference and move through it seamlessly.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't have to be adversarial. What happened in this moment was I was added to by somebody who cared enough to correct me, and not correct me in a way that was harsh, not correct me in a way that was belittling, but just corrected me from a perspective of, hey, let me share with you what I know about this. If we could all just do that part,
bruh,
just that part, understanding that correction is not contempt, then the amount of growth that could take place will be astronomical. Listen, we got to take a quick break, get these last few commercials in, and then we're going to come back with our final thoughts. Listen, y'all come back. We're going to finish this up real good for y'all.
If you want to create a drop, release your new song with a pop, do you need an exciting intro for your video, promote your business, products, or shows? Contact us for customized digital video packages. For more details, email us at tkbsds.org@gmail.com.
All right, folks, listen, thank you for being back with us. Hey, Reed, I see that you said just that part, period. Yeah, listen, we trying to get on something here. The spirit is moving around these parts today, boy. I tell you, it's just moving around these parts today. But with that being said, we kind of want to close out with our final thoughts. So I'm going to share, like the seats, the floor to you, my brother, so you can get that final thought, man.
Well, my final thought will be that, if we just do these 4 points, we'll be okay. Number one is we have to make sure that we speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Don't say nothing else. Avoid using words that speak against yourself. You don't have to do that. Say what you mean what you say, so everything around you can have clarity in how to handle you, and you know how to handle everybody else, because there's clarity amongst everyone. Number two is don't take nothing personal. You don't know what mental space people are in, and in turn, you not taking it personal will lift the stress off of your own shoulders. Then you can really relate to other people and be that help or be that support that they may need. And sometimes being a support doesn't have to do with anything about you actually speaking to them. Sometimes they just need you to send them good vibes. Sometimes they just need you to pray for them. You know what I'm saying? The other is, don't make too many assumptions. You know what I'm saying? Find the courage to ask questions. Hey, are you okay today? Yo, is there anything I can do to help you? You know what I'm saying? Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid any type of misunderstandings. Always do your best is number 4. You want to release the best version of yourself in this time. And in this time, the way you do that is by being the best you can be. Manage your demons instead of calling everybody else out on theirs.
Woo.
Manage your stuff. And as you manage your stuff, and as you begin to change, guess what happens? Everything and everyone around you has to adjust to the change that you have already made. You know what I'm saying? And under any circumstances, just simply do your best. Under any circumstance. We're in a circumstance now where they're mandating us to have shots. Some people had to give in because they had no choice. You were going to take away my living place. You were going to take away my job. You was going to take away my ability to bring in this money that I was getting from the system. Listen, you've done your best. You just do your best. If you get the shot, you get it. I'm not against the vaccine, but I am pro-choice. In this time, you have to make sure that you always do your best. And when you do your best, listen to me, and I'm done. When you do your best, God himself, the divine itself, the universe herself, the multiverse itself will stand up for you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Listen, I'm loving them. I'm loving them agreements, man. I'm loving them agreements.
Yes, sir. Yes,
my final thoughts are going to be a little shorter, because I mean, what do you say after that, right? But in all seriousness, if everything is a challenge for you, if everything challenges your manhood, then you might still be a boy. Not everything in life should be a challenge or should be able to dictate what manhood is or isn't. We are all on this journey ourselves. We are, cohabitators with everyone else here, but the journey that you take is an individual journey. It's just your responsibility to make sure that you work well with the others that you encounter. But if you are challenged, if your manhood is challenged by everything that comes along, then you're probably still a boy. And if you're still a boy, it's going to be difficult to deal with the things that life needs you to deal with, because you're not going to be able to deal with the complexities of things that require rational thought, that require sacrifice, that require the things that a man, a provider, and protector should actually be doing. So if you're being challenged, if that man is being challenged, you still in your boyhood. That's all I got for you. On that note, brother, listen, we gonna park this thing and get on with the things that we know we need to do for the rest of our evening. So I
Yes,
just want
sir.
to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that joined us tonight on this broadcast. Make sure you like, share, make sure you replay. Make sure y'all meet us here the next time we jump on here, because we love having y'all. And
Definitely.
next time, my brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate the fact that I get an opportunity to grow and learn every time I'm in your company. So I salute and I revere you, man. I appreciate you.
Yo, same here, Craig. Same here, man. Always know that. Always know that, man. This feeling is mutual. Definitely.
Absolutely, man. Listen, on that note, we're going to call it a quit, y'all. Until next time, peace.
Let the music tell your body how to move and feel. It can serve as medication.